Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel, and I appreciate everybody always checking out our channel and watching it. I do appreciate it. Me and Brenda both do. I'm out here in the she shed. I guess it could be he shed. It's my shed. No, it's our shed, but it ain't the doghouse. So that's where I'm at today, and I'm going to talk about people looking into the different outdoor wood stoves out there on the market, and how do you determine what outdoor wood furnace, what brand you want to go with. Back in 2000, I bought some property, and that property was about 65 acres, and it was heavily wooded with hard maple, popple, you name it, ash, cherry, but all your hardwoods and softwoods. And I decided that I needed to look into the outdoor wood stove systems, and I started doing that. And once I started, I didn't realize there was a big difference. There's a lot of different companies out there, and all the companies had a little bit different, some ash pans, some of them didn't use spray foam, some used fiberglass. So I just wanted to do my own research, and so I just wanted to let you know that obviously I chose a central boiler, and I'm going to tell you why, and you go and you dig into your own information. And I'm sure there'll be people out there that maybe will comment and go, they're junk, but that's all right. I know a guy that bought a Chevy, and he had two Chevys, and he bought lemons, and he won't own another Chevy since then. So I drive Chevys, I've drove Fords, so it's here or there. So here's some things to look at. I looked at Central Boiler had been around for a number of years, so about 18 years, 16 years when I started looking into it. Didn't know nothing about Central Boiler, didn't know nothing about the Woodmasters, didn't know nothing about the heat source, the Heat Moors, the Hardys, and I can go on and on and on, because back then there was a ton of them out there. So when I looked at the different brands, I started looking at that first thing you see when you're looking at an outdoor wood furnace is the outside appearance. And the first thing that I noticed was the workmanship and the quality. As you can see, I'm not sitting next to mine. I thought I'd do this in the shed, and it's a beautiful day. As you can see that Central Boilers frames all theirs in all the way down to the ground. That way, their bottom of their water jacket is up here, but instead of leaving it all open, they just decided to bring the tin all the way down. And I like that look. And so then what I did is I started looking on the inside of the furnace. The inside of the furnace, what really intrigued me and made a lot of sense to me, is they call it their ripple top design. And inside that firebox, I'm just going to hold this up, and we could go look at a furnace, but we're not. All the blue, it looks like purple, is water around the water, around the inside the fire. And as you can see, this ripple top, it comes up and down like mountains, and this big down baffle. This is all full of water. And the way it was explained to me, your heating surface area, and if you just have a square firebox, you don't have that much surface area at the top. With this ripple top design, as you can see, if you took that steel and stretched that all out, now you have more heating surface than any other of the furnaces out there. So with that ripple top, it creates one more heating surface for your furnace. And we're talking about the classics. We're talking about not the high efficiency edge furnaces, the downdraft furnaces. I'm talking about the classics right now, because that's what got me interested in the beginning back in 2001 or so. And so if you take that ripple top and you string it out, or it was able to stretch that steel out, now you have more surface area in there to heat up the water that's being heated. So that intrigued me. And that down baffle in the back stops all those that heat escaping out the chimney. So I like that. The second thing I liked was Central Boiler puts their, if you can see, this is their classic. puts her chimney out the back and up. A lot of the, let me hold that up there, out the back and up, and you can do your research online and you can go and look at the different furnaces, which I encourage you to do. So what I got out of that was, if you take a chimney, and most of the furnaces came right out of the top of the furnace. So if with theirs out the back, all the heat wasn't escaping out. So basically, if you held a cigarette lighter in your hand and you cupped your hand and you lit it, all the heat is in the top of your hand. Why put a chimney there where all that heat's going to escape straight out? So I like that as well. So we got the ripple top, we got the chimney out the back. The other thing I liked was there was not an ash pan. And here's a good example, is back in 89, 90, I did a little bit of work while I was at UPS. I did a little bit of work for a machine shop, and in his shop, small garage shop, Bob Porter had a 55-gallon drum barrel. And I was always told these barrels will wear out and rust out. And I said to Bob, how long have you had that? And it was like 20-some years. I said, why is it not rusted all out? He goes, I maintain the ashes in that. It was just a regular 55-gallon drum. He says, I maintain those ashes. I don't let them get too deep, and I stir them up every day. And so that's why when I saw the Central Boiler Classic, it didn't bother me. It didn't have an ash pan. So all of our ashes are on the bottom. We're still gaining heat out of those coals, that's going down because the water's all the way around the water jacket in the Central Boiler Classic furnace, as you can see. Okay? And so right away I knew I was going to maintain that. So how often did I maintain those ashes? About once a month. I would just go ahead and stir my ashes and take 3-4 shovels out of there, 5, 6, whatever, and I'd keep my ashes at 6 to 8 inches in there, and that's it. My coals, my hot coals, I'd take ashes out that were already used up. That was a powder, so that didn't bother me. The next thing that was impressed to me was the spray foam. All around the Central Boiler furnace, on the outside of the water jacket, is spray foam insulation. And if you know, I'm sure you've talked to people with spray foam. Is very expensive, but it's a excellent excellent insulation. So I wanted that. There's no air gaps whatsoever, and that impressed me. The bad insulation, there's fiberglass insulation, we call it bad insulation. If it gets wet at all, if it does, it's gonna collapse and lose its insulation value and not be very good. And plus, water is going to get next to that outer water jacket, and it's could rust. So I was impressed with the ripple top. Well, first I was impressed by the outside look. I was impressed by the ripple top. I was impressed by the ash pan. And then I was impressed by the spray foam insulation. The next thing that really caught my eye was a Class A stainless steel chimneys. And with a Central Boiler, you can, and I'm sure you can now with other ones, you can add the chimney. I ain't got a good picture of it, but the chimney is, it's a Class A, and so it comes with 2 sections. And I'm looking through my diagram here, but it comes with 2, here we go. It comes with 2 sections, but you can add more sections of chimney, and they show you how you can brace it. So right away, I was like, I can get this smoke up higher if I needed, but I was on 60 acres, and I didn't need to worry about getting the smoke up and out of the way from any neighbors. I couldn't see nobody. I was by myself, but that impressed me. My dad was a mason and a bricklayer, did lots of chimneys, did lots of fireplaces, and one thing he wanted is to get the chimneys up higher than the peak of the house to help with the draw of the fire and help it suck and have a good draw to burn. And so if it was too low, you'd have a downdraft. So I realized that. And the other thing was, Central Boiler didn't have a blower on the front door. And so I asked questions about that. Why don't you have a blower? Everybody's got blowers. Well, as he explained to me best was, if you put a blower on the front door, you're pressurizing your firebox and you're going to blow all your heat out the chimney. They just had a natural draft, so when the aquastat, the thermostat on the outdoor wood stove, on the Classic, when it calls for heat, the damper automatically opens, lets natural air come into the firebox, the fire gets going and gets up to temperature, shuts back down. No blowers, no nothing. It's not forcing that heat, making that fire burn super hot to get it out. So I'll be honest with you, I did become a dealer for Central Boiler in 2002, and I sold for I think 10 years to 2012. Sold over 600 and some units in a short period of time. And as far as blowers, the neighbors here going to the other neighbors, and Bailey is barking. But anyway, so what I was getting at is they make an add-on for a blower for a Central Boiler if you want to put it on the front door on the Classics. And I bet you I had out of 600 and less over 600 some stoves, if I sold, I know I sold less than a dozen blowers. I know it. I did not sell more than a dozen add-ons. But what I told the people was, on that blower, put a toggle switch. So you didn't have to use it when it's, this time of year, when it's starting to get cool, you're not burning it hot. And the other thing was, on that blower, there was a cover, so you could damper that down so it wasn't putting all the air into it. You could damper it down so maybe half or a quarter, but definitely I told those customers to put the toggle switch on it so they didn't have to run it. They could just let it draft natural and without the blower. So those things, quality workmanship. We talked about the ripple top design. Let's see, we talked about the ash pan. Didn't have one. We just used bottom furnace. And then I had somebody come over. Somebody must have told them they rot out because the ashes are on the ash pan. I was burning mine, and I had a customer come over to my house. And he goes, move those ashes back. I want to see what that ash pan looks like. So furnace is burning. It's in the winter. And I took a shovel and a hoe, and I moved those ashes back in the bottom of the ash pan. And the bottom of that steel was clean as a whistle. He says, I'm buying. So we talked about the ash pan. We talked about the chimneys. We talked about spray foam and the height of the chimneys. We talked about a blower. So I think I repeated a couple things a couple times. But anyway, those were basically, when I looked into those few things, that's kind of what sold me on a Central Boiler. And I did look at the different brands out there. I became a dealer because they had a good product. Here's the other thing is I was not on a highway. I drove for UPS. I was on a country road. You couldn't even see my house from the country road. My house was back in the woods. You couldn't see I had furnaces. I didn't have a sign out front that said Central Boiler Dealer. What sold my stoves, sold Central Boiler was their name, customer service that they had and what I had, and the customer service of the quality of furnace that when I sold a furnace, the word of mouth is what sold so many furnaces for me and taking care of people. So I've had a number of people, testimonials. You just check them out. I ain't going to get into that. But anyway, enough on the soapbox. Check them out. Big demand. 26% tax credit on the edges, and I'm going to do a video on the edges, and I'll break that down probably next week on the edges and tell you a little bit about that. But any comments, please leave them. Be nice. Don't be mean. But that's what I found out. That's the research that I did, and that's why I decided to go with a Central Boiler. And then after I had it, I became a dealer because I was so impressed on how it was working for me. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will catch you real soon. I'm going to do another video, like I said, and then I'm going to also update my video on my hunt coming up in Montana. So that'll be coming out here real soon. So anyway, everybody have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.